Hey guys, so I love chopping with knives. It's something that I have enjoyed since I was a kid. I think that's something that a lot of outdoors type folks enjoy. Um, Whenever somebody gets a brand new knife, what's the first thing they do with it? They go outside and they chop with it, right? So there's a type of cut, and I call it a snap cut. Your definition might vary a little bit, but uh, but to me, it's called a snap cut. All right. When I first started, like when I first started playing around a lot in the outdoors, and like when I was in the military, um, I had mostly straight edged knives, like this. Um, and so when I would go out and try to cut something down, like trees and things like that, getting wood for the fire, making shelters, things like that, I would cut in a straight motion. All right. Um, the limb or tree would be right here, and I would come straight down. Sometimes I would hit and then draw down just a little bit. And it worked. It was okay. Uh, Not super effective, I don't think, now. But my last year in 10th Mountain, my father sent me this knife. And this is a LTC kukri from Cold Steel Knives, about 30 plus years old now. Anyway, this is my dad sent me one of these. And when I first got it, I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, great. What do I do with it? And I'll never forget when we were talking on the phone. My dad's like, just just take it out and use it a little bit. You'll see. So my unit was at West Point at the time. We were training cadets, and I had some downtime. There's a lot of pine forest out there. So when I took this big old boomerang knife out to the wood line, I did what I had always done with the straight blades. I came straight down, all right, like that. And it chopped. It wasn't great, but and at first I was kind of underwhelmed because I'm like, well, with this kind of size and mass, it should just fly through the wood. What I wasn't taking consideration, it doesn't really matter how big or thick the knife is, the resistance from the material you're cutting through at some point is going to stop it if it's got any size to it at all. So I thought that this would just blow through the the wood, the pine that I was chopping. As I'm playing with it, I began to feel the weight up here. It's very, like I said, the balance point here is like that. So all the weight's up there. And naturally, I started almost whipping the weight forward. All right. Like that. And then as I'm chopping like that, I'm cutting deeper and deeper with each hit. At the time, I didn't know what that was called, but now I know this is a snap cut. And when using a curved knife like a kukri, or let's say a more fixed blade like this Beck, it increases the efficiency of the hit because you're increasing the velocity of the leading edge here. whipping that edge into the material, okay? Now, there's a few steps to, for me, a proper snap cut. And I'll show you guys on this Randall right here, because most folks have straight blades about, this size or just a little shorter. All right, the first thing to think about, at least something that I do, I'll move the knife just a little bit in my hand at first. I want to feel where that weight is up here. I just want to be aware of it, okay? You look at your target, be a limb or a branch. You swing back as normal, draw back. But as you come back farther, you see how I'm releasing these three fingers, all right? I'm holding on with my thumb and forefinger. The knife's not going to fly out, okay? But I release and let that blade tilt back. You see my wrist is going back as well, okay? I'm generating speed, setting it up, and then kind of like throwing a ball, I'm coming down on the target. But as I come down, I'm squeezing my hand. So you have velocity from the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist, and velocity from bringing that tip down by doing that squeeze. You guys see that? So all of these points increase the velocity of that leading edge. When you're hitting, more velocity is going to go deeper. All right, you're still going to get stopped at some point from the resistance of the material, but it's more effective than that. Okay, here's a standard chop and a snap cut. Now, I like using larger knives because they're fun, but you don't necessarily have to limit a snap cut to just a larger blade. They don't have to be kukris with very blade heavy designs. Here's a knife that I made while I was in the fire department, and I used it for years. And I can do the same thing with this. I can tilt back and squeeze down. Now, I'm going to bring my hand close to the microphone, and I'm going to see if you guys can hear this. Hopefully I don't hit my camera or my gimbal. There we go. What that is, as the knife is coming down, this part of the handle is stopping right here. It's actually hitting my hand. That's what stops it, okay? Because of the velocity that I'm generating, even with a smaller knife. You can do the same thing with your standard Bushcraft style blades. Now for me, I prefer to have a pinky lanyard on here, so that way I can increase the length of the tip, putting the balance of the knife farther away from my hand so I can generate more momentum, okay? Because if the weight's farther forward, you can generate more momentum. Just like that. See how it's stuck there. It's on my finger. It's not going to go anywhere. This knife is about, if I remember right, 11 ounces. I think this one's actually a little lighter. You can still cut really well by doing that snap cut. All right. The advantage, better penetration in the cut, and it's actually, in a way, it feels way more natural to do that than to just grab, hold fixed, and beat against the tree or whatever. I know you guys have seen the videos of somebody with a brand new bushcraft knife or new knife that they're reviewing, and they're like, hey, this thing chops great. They walk up to a little tree about that big around, and using a fixed chop, they go to town like a beaver. Just tap, 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 tap. About 60 hits later, they'll get through it. It's way more effective, even with a lighter blade, to snap cut. You'll go through much faster. All right, so let's look at this from the angle of I've got my target set. I know this is the branch or the limb I want to go through. I square up and I'll make sure there's nothing else around me. I don't want to be hitting anything above me, below me, to the left, to the right, okay? Because that's just going to hang up my chop and possibly get me or somebody else hurt. I'm looking at where I want to hit. I draw back, cock the tip of the knife back, releasing with these 3 fingers. And then as I come down, I'm squeezing, and at the end of the squeeze is right where I want to make contact, like that. And then the tree falls over and, job done. Using a kukri style blade like this Woodsman, it's similar, because after a while of using a bent knife, you learn exactly where where it's going to contact that leading edge, okay? It becomes part of muscle memory. Looking at my target, finding my spot, coming back, tilting up, squeeze down. All right? Just like that. My hand always stays back. My offhand. I'm left-handed. So, and the reason my hand always stays back is a safety thing. I don't want this moving around anywhere in the strike zone. My forward leg, my left leg, is off to one side of the target. So if I hit and go through, my trailing leg is behind me, all right? As you guys can see right here, my left leg is off to one side. My trailing leg is behind me. I'm looking and facing the target. I come back. As I come down, I'm doing the squeeze. The contact point is here. If I go through the material, I'm safe. Nothing here is going to get hit, all right, on me. Now, that was for a strike on my strong side, okay? I'm hitting, to me, the left-hand side of the target. If I'm chopping on this side, I don't leave my leg to the left. For that, I step this way and I clear all of this so that nothing's in the danger zone. I go across my body like that. I'm still releasing the 3 fingers, look at the target, squeeze. That way, if I go through the target, nothing here is going to get hit. Also, guys, keep in mind that even if you're using a straighter blade or a curved blade, be mindful of the fact that whenever you hit that target, if the angle isn't right, which uh, there's a specific angle that's actually best, but for argument's sake, let's say 45 degrees, and that's not exactly correct. But as you come in and you make contact, there is always a possibility that you came in wrong and you hit it either too sharp, too flat. And if it's too sharp, there's a possibility the knife can glance back. All right? Be mindful of it so that whenever you chop and that happens, it goes away from you. All right? Uh, so if I come in like that, I should be good. But if I come in too sharp, it's going to do this. My leg is still to the left of the target, but there's still a big gap here. So if I do hit incorrectly and it happens, it comes off and I'm mindful of it, I have a much less chance of getting myself or somebody else hurt. So this stance also works on a weak hand chop. And if I come in too steep, it comes down. Even though my leg is on the right hand side of the target, it's still a lot of safe space where that edge can go. And I don't have to worry about getting hit, especially if I'm mindful of it. Okay, let's do some practical application with the paper towel roll. And I will use a straight blade. Nice, clean cut. I haven't sharpened this knife in forever, but we'll see. This is using a smaller blade. Take my stance, find my spot. I'm going to use a different type of paper towel roll. It's quite a bit thicker, harder, and I'm going to set this right here. I have carved 3 separate slingshots with the Woodsman, so I mean it's not like shaving sharp or anything right now. I've been doing a ton of carving with it. Let's see how it does. Take my spot, find my target. No problem. Okay, so I've got a stick of wood here. It's a hard wood, not super dense, and we're gonna chop it a few times using that fixed straight chop that I used to use, and I've seen others used, and compare that to a snap cut. All right. So I'm going to use the WSK on this because using kukri is just, it wouldn't be fair. So we're going to find a spot right here. I've got it secure. My leg is out of the way. Nothing's around me. There we go. Now I'm going to turn it around, extend the knife out. This time I'm going to snap cut. Almost went through it. Go to this thicker section and just use the snap cut with the Woodsman. I'm balancing this just like that. I'm using the pinky lanyard and the guard. And there you go. All right, there is the fixed wrist cuts or fixed wrist chops I made with the WSK. Here's when I switched to the snap cuts. Quite a bit of difference. Here is the chops from the Woodsman, and that kukri design really lends itself wonderfully to a snap cut. One other thing I want to point out, for demonstration, I'm showing you guys coming all the way back like this. You don't have to do that. And in all honesty, remember I've talked about when I'm carving, I don't like to let the pressure gauge go up too high because that's a danger zone. Coming back and horsing that edge every single time, it's dangerous, or it can be more dangerous. So another option you have, just roll it. As I'm rolling that knife, that edge around, right? And I'm rolling, squeezing, hit. Rolling, squeezing, hit. All right? Boom, boom, boom. It's a very effective chop. And you can use that really safely for limbs, to take small trees, stuff like that, building shelters. And you're not having to worry about cranking that pressure gauge and having something go wrong. This is much more controlled. As I hope that this helped explain how I look at chopping with big knives, kind of some of the thought processes that I go through in a way that has been way more effective for me. The snap cut, man, once I had that down, it increased the value of the large knife in my kit a lot. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys got something out of it. And feel free to put any comments or suggestions down below. Again, these are my definitions. Yours might not be the same, but I hope that you were able to, or I was able to show you kind of the thought process that I have while I'm using it. Anyway, guys, stay safe, take care, and God bless.